Now, the interesting thing with small keys, particularly in Trinity, is that sometimes those small keys open very big doors. There was a meeting that was about me, that was going to happen without me. A number of people in suits on the top floor of an inaccessible building. And I didn't think this was entirely appropriate, and neither did my parents. And I don't know if you've ever experienced a mother whose child's well-being is being put in jeopardy in some way, but the full might was ignited that day. Those people in suits were made aware that I would attend the meeting, and either it would happen in the foyer or in the car park, but that I'd be there. And that day I made the case that I paid my taxes before, and I'd like to pay them again. I don't want to be dependent, but we're all actually interdependent. I don't want a handout, but I do need a leg up for a little while. And the people around that table that day said yes. And what they were saying yes to was me getting a number of personal assistant hours so I could return to college. That was a very small key that opened a very big door. And when I got back to college, post-injury, I'd finished my first year in college, I'd had an injury and returned back after a period in rehab. And when I returned back after getting that small key, Trinity became the door that pushed wide open, and I really didn't foresee the journey that I would go on over those years. There's one person in the room tonight that I'd really like to acknowledge on that journey, and it's Declan within the walls of Trinity. Declan Turner. We discussed tonight, he's a gentle agitator at the best of times, and a disruptor at the best. But there's 4 other people at the table over there that there's no question that I could not mention tonight. There's a phrase I came across a few years ago. I don't know who to attribute it to, so I'll claim it for my own. And the phrase says that resilience doesn't always just live within us, it often lives between us. And so, Mum, Dad, Claire and Jean, thank you for everything. I could talk to you about a lot of things in these few minutes. I consider myself, I studied pharmacy, I consider myself more a health professional than anything. Last weekend I went to an event down in Limerick called Beyond Limits, and at that event there was about 600 young kids and their families, and these young kids had diverse abilities. And it was one of the most inspiring things I've ever been at, simply for the reason that everywhere you looked there was young kids on crutches, in wheelchairs, with autism, Down syndrome ballerina, performances, all sorts. And everywhere they looked, they could say, there's someone like me, and they didn't feel so alone. For the parents, there was role models and a hopeful future laid out ahead of them. I found myself in the car on Monday driving to a session I was delivering, and on came the song "A Million Dreams" from The Greatest Showman, and all of a sudden the tears just started flowing. And the tears started flowing not because I was in any way upset, but because I'm incredibly grateful and inspired by the work I get to do every day, the places that I get to inhabit, and so much of that was made possible in my time in Trinity. I thank you all very much, and it's a real honour.